evening and welcome everyone to my chat with Cendrine Marrouat, who's the author of The Little Big ebook on social media. And we're going to be discussing tonight the book itself and everything that arises out of that. I have to say, first of all, Cendrine, I enjoyed reading the book because I learned things. The thing is, it's built on your personal experiences. It's got worked examples of exactly how to do things and how not to do things, and both of those are equally important. Mm-hmm. And it's a practical guide. It's a hands-on guide, which I love. It's not theoretical. You've actually done it and you know it works, so that's also good. So my first question is very simple. Why did you decide to write the book?
Well, hello everyone. First of all, very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. So the reason why I decided to write this book is I had been working at the time with so many people, small business owners and solopreneurs, and I could tell they were struggling with social media. There was a big struggle going on. And, after teaching social media for a while and seeing people in my classes, I realized, there was a big disconnect between what they were doing online and what they were doing offline. So for me, social media works exactly in the same way as offline, but they didn't seem to get it. So that's why I decided to write the book, for them to understand that things are basically the same online and offline. The only difference, though, is that you don't automatically see people. So you have to deal with that. But in terms of the way we connect with people, it's exactly the same as what we would do offline.
Right. So be social. Right. Now, just going through, if we sort of assume that somebody's starting up in business, the first thing that you recommend is that they watch their competitors. Why should we watch our competitors?
Because when you start, you have basically no clue who your audience is. And you know what? That's the best way to do it, is to actually look at, basically spy on what competitors are doing, so that you get to know what the audience of this competitor reacts to, what they like, what they read, and so on and so forth. So it gives you more or less a good idea of what your potential audience could like, react to.
Yeah. So it's to help you decide what sort of areas you should be active in. Yeah. To gain at least match them or gain an edge.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least you have a little idea of how to start your strategy, how to build your content, because it's all about trials and errors. You will make mistakes. You will test. What may work with a competitor may not work with your audience, but at least you know how to start at the beginning.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we're at the beginning. And we now want to go into social media. Which networks should we go for? I mean, there's so many.
Yeah, there's many. So that's why you first observe competition. When you have no clue, when you have no website, you have no blog, you start with your competition. And you go where they have profiles. So it can be Facebook, it can be Twitter, it can be Pinterest, anywhere. So there's not one network that I would recommend. Everyone will say, well, a lot of experts I know would say Facebook, but just because there were 1.5 billion people there doesn't mean that your audience is automatically there. You can in a much smaller niche, for example, with a much smaller audience. And, sometimes Pinterest may work, Twitter may work, and so on and so forth. So there's not one in particular that you have to start with.
Okay. Now, if we take them in turn then. If you're setting up Twitter from scratch, what is important? What's important in your profile, and what's important in what you tweet out? Is it a good idea just to say, this is our best buy today, and fill your Twitter feed with that sort of thing?
No, I wouldn't start that way. I wouldn't start that way because people don't know you. Okay, so what I always tell my clients is that, of course, big brands, like let's talk about Starbucks, let's talk about all these big brands, they don't need to automatically connect with you because people are already fans of them. So they already buy their products. So it's basically a given. If they are on Twitter, if they're on Facebook, people are going to follow them.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't emulate the practice of always promoting yourself, always promoting yourself. What you have to do is basically start by building a relationship with people. Start showing that you care. Put content out there. Curate content. Not make it about yourself. It's really about your audience, what your audience craves, what your audience needs, the answers that they have, the kind of problems that they have.
Right. So you make connections with people who may be interested in your product or service, and you nurture those connections.
Exactly.
And when you say curate content, what sort of content are we talking about? You just said it's not about us. So what is it about? Where can we get content from?
It's the content that they need information on. They need help with things. So that's the kind of content you're going to feed them. For example, if you're working with a real estate agent, I mean, people were interested in renting apartments or buying properties. You're a real estate agent, so you're going to feed them information on, you know, the best prices in the best areas in the city, for example, recommendations of restaurants, recommendations of things to do in a specific area. That's what I'm talking about. You're curating, you're selecting the best content among all the digital content that you find online, so that you make it easier for your audience to find the information they're looking for.
So do you take your own area of expertise and use that to create the content? So and what I'm getting at is that you don't need to write it all yourself, do you?
I'm sorry?
You don't need to write the content yourself. You actually look.
Yeah, you don't need to create content all the time. You can also take advantage of what other content other people have created, really. And a thing that a lot of businesses worry about is that why should I basically redirect people to my competitors? But as I tell them, people all, of course, will remember the creator content, but they will also remember the source, the person who brought them that content on a constant basis. So it's basically a win-win situation, really, curating content.
So you're looking to be known for that particular area. You're looking for people to say, right, okay, I know that Mr. Smith knows all about this.
Yes.
Yeah, so becoming the go-to person.
Exactly.
Yeah. What sites do you use yourself for curation?
What sites?
Yeah, where do you get your information from?
Oh, so many. I follow more or less 340 sources, 350 sources on a daily basis. So I use Feedly to basically gather all the RSS feeds and find the information from there.
So that's feedly.com.
Yes.
COM. And is there a cost attached to that, or is that?
No, the basic features are free, but you can upgrade for more options. But basically, for what I'm looking for, free is fine. Yeah,
I agree. There are a lot of good free resources out there to help people. Do you use Scoop.it at all?
Do I use?
Scoop.it. Scoop.it,
yes. I've been on Scoop.it for almost 6 years now, before they launched, actually, in beta. Right. So I've been a huge proponent of Scoop.it as well for many years.
Yeah, yes. I think the thing is that we do tend to, we've got so many tools we've used over the years that we tend to forget them and just use them as part of our daily lives, really.
Exactly.
And Scoop.it is definitely one of those.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now, a large section of your book, you attract an audience, and people have got to know you and they've bought product from you. And then there's a complaint. Somebody complains publicly, either on Twitter or on Facebook. What should you not do? And what should you do?
One of the things that you should not do is delete the complaint. That's one of the major things that you shouldn't do. Not delete, not censor complaints at all. Leave them all there, even if it's something really bad. Leave it all there, because if your audience really, really likes you, they will side with you. Okay. And even if it's bad. So you want to actually acknowledge complaints and do your best to resolve those complaints. Sometimes you can't, because there's situations when you absolutely cannot, but at least trying to solve the issues, trying to acknowledge those issues will show people that you actually care about it.
Yeah, and you illustrate in your book one such occasion when it totally backfired on the family-owned restaurant.
Yes.
When they appeared on television.
Yes.
What went wrong?
Well, if you, I don't know if you watched the show Hell's Kitchen.
Yes.
So they were, this couple owns a restaurant, and they were on the show, and Ramsay is, notorious for being, outspoken and everything. Usually screams at people, is harsh, but he knows what he's doing. So he actually was so annoyed, and he couldn't see a solution with this couple. So he actually quit on the show. He decided to quit because it's like there was nothing he could do with them. There were terrible things they were doing. They were stealing tips from employees. They had fired so many different employees. So it was hell.
Right.
Very bad, very bad. So what happened to the couple is that after the show was aired, people started leaving bad reviews on Facebook and on many different websites, and the couple went nuts, went absolutely nuts, and attacked everyone, attacked the show, attacked the fans, attacked followers of the Facebook page, and it went on and on and on. And when they realized they'd gone too far, instead of apologizing, they actually said someone had hacked the page or something like that.
Right.
And, they didn't even apologize for behaving the way they did. And if you look at the page now, I think it was 2 years ago, even now, people still leave bad reviews. And this restaurant is, the reputation is stained forever. It's an extreme example of what not to do.
Yeah, it is basically, you as you said earlier, what you've got to try and do is answer the complaint and give a reason why it happened. Own up to it. If it's something totally wrong, then you say, I got it wrong, and people will respect that, won't they? If you get it wrong and you say so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing that a lot of businesses don't understand is that people are not expecting perfection from you when you have a business. They're expecting a human being to run the business. So being human means that you will make mistakes, and that acknowledging that you're human is actually the best thing to do.
Indeed it is. And social media is about people. And the more that you show yourself as being one of the people rather than above them, the better it is. But if you run a business, the thing is that you've got individuals working for you, and you're working on social media, and they're posting on your behalf. Do you need a social media policy so that people don't speak out of turn?
Yeah, I would say that you need a social media policy because you cannot please everyone. There will always be people who are unhappy with you, no matter what you do, and you need to have a policy to be able to deal with very difficult issues, such as complaints. So for big companies, the policy is going to be long because they have a lot of employees. So they will need a long policy so that employees need what you do, they need training and so on and so forth. But when you're a small business owner, your policy doesn't need to be very, very long. You just need to spell out the kind of comments, for example, you will accept and the kind of comments you will not accept on your Facebook page, the kind of behavior you expect from your employees, and make it public on your Facebook page and even on your website. I would advise doing it on both. And every time there is an issue with a customer, client, or potential customer, just refer them to the social media policy in terms of the kind of responses that you will get them and how they can get the best answer. Either it's on your Facebook page or through email, via phone, that should be spelt in the policy as well. The best way to reach the company to actually get the best.
Yep. Yeah. So you can use it for actually getting across to the public what your policies are, as well as explaining them internally.
Exactly.
Now, we've talked about dealing with complaints. The other side of the coin, of course, is if a company does something well. Now, I'm thinking here particularly of the Dell story.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And your story with Dell and what happened.
Yeah. That was a great story. Dell, I'm not really a big fan of their products, the computers. I stopped buying their products now. But the customer service is so good. They make you feel special every time they deal with you. Every time there's been an issue with me, they have taken the matters in their own hands, very polite, very professional. And even if I was mad at them, they were very nice, very kind, very professional. So Dell is to me an example of very, very good customer service because they know it's okay not to be perfect. They know it's okay. They are not perfect, and they do their best to actually make you feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And in your particular case, they went over and above what you'd expected.
Oh, absolutely. It was an old laptop I had. It died anyway, but the video card was basically killing my laptop. So, and I had it repaired a few weeks before. So when I saw the blue screen of death, I was like, oh, no, this is happening again. So I actually contacted them via their Twitter handle, Dell Cares. Mm-hmm. And because I'm hard of hearing, so it's easier for me to deal with them on Twitter or via Facebook. But Twitter is for me the best network to get customer service. So I talked to them and I was really mad because I was getting tired of Dell products that don't work. So as I talked to them, I would say I was mad and I let them know I was mad. And they say, okay, you know what? You don't want to pay, that's okay. And so we're going to send someone to actually repair the laptop for you at your house. We'll send someone. And I'm like, thinking, what? They're actually sending someone, even though I'm not under warranty, and I had the laptop repaired by someone else, so it was not under warranty. So they sent someone, a tech, to my house. The person repaired my laptop for free, even though my laptop was not under warranty at all. They didn't ask me for a cent. Right. So, and then after that, I had a problem with my printer. Something didn't work, and the same guy as before helped me as well. Spent couple of days helping me as well over the phone, on Twitter, and yes, it was a great experience for me.
As a result of that, you wrote a blog.
Exactly. I read a blog, and then I covered my experience in my book. So
yeah, but your blog brought you into contact with people high up at Dell, didn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Someone from Dell, from support, contacted me to thank me. They were actually listening because I didn't really mention them anywhere in my tweet, but someone was listening and they thanked me. They actually thanked me for writing the blog. So social media listening as well.
Listening's key, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's not broadcasting. It's as much as listening and taking part in conversations.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you're going to listen, what sort of tools are available to you to listen?
Well, since I'm a big fan of Twitter, I use TweetDeck. TweetDeck allows me to cover the Twitter sphere. But there's Hootsuite as well, which is very, very good because you can cover Facebook, you can cover LinkedIn, I think, if I remember correctly as well, Pinterest. And then there is a tool that I really like called mention.net, and it covers the whole range. So it's free for, I think, 250 mentions a month. And beyond that, you have to pay. But it covers blogs, it covers anything on search, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. Everything that is public, Mention will unearth it.
So you're monitoring particular terms that are relevant to your industry? Can you give us one of the clients that you use it with?
Yeah, so I would mostly I would use it. One of the things I do, I monitor the domain name.
Okay.
Domain name of a website. For example, my website, socialmediaslant.com, and then everything about socialmediasled.com would appear, would pop up and mention it every time it's mentioned. Or you can mention by your name, the name of your company, the link, specific links to your articles, specific links to your pages. Even my name is very difficult to spell. So I know people spell it in a weird way sometimes.
Yep.
So I also monitor the misspellings.
Okay, good idea. Yes, indeed. I have the same problem, not to the same extent, but people sometimes spell my name with a PH.
Yes.
For Stephen, because that's basically, they've got a relative called Stephen with a PH, and they always remember that, even when they know me personally, I've met them. So yeah, I know. Misspellings obviously is a good one to track. Yeah. Now, we've talked about Facebook and Twitter, but you've mentioned your blog site. How important is a blog site in your opinion?
Well, it depends to whom you talk to.
Okay.
But I always give the example of Twitter. For example, Twitter, the decisions the Twitter team is making these is not very, very good, especially when they want to go to the 10,000 character limit, which is a little weird. So, but let's imagine that a social network like Facebook or Twitter folds. You know, they go bankrupt. I don't think Facebook will, but you never know, right? So everything you put on Facebook or Twitter, Google Plus, Pinterest, if those websites fold, your content is gone.
Yes.
Content is gone. And who takes advantage of the content you put on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, so on and so forth? Those companies.
Yep.
Make money out of you. Basically, that's what they do. So that's why a blog is important, because you want people to go where it matters to your bottom line. It's fantastic to post links and to post ideas on Facebook, Twitter, and so on and so forth, because so many people on Twitter and Facebook and so on and so forth, and you have a better chance of them finding you there. But at the end of the day, you want people to go on your blog because you want to see your content belongs to you. So you are the one to decide when you want your blog to fold.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And you can back up your content. So that's why a blog is so important, because it helps you. Oh, I lost my train of thoughts.
A blog.
It's
all right.
It allows you to show off your expertise, your credibility in a place where you are the one who decides what to do with your content. You are the one who has the power to say, you know, I want to delete that article. I'm deleting it.
Yes.
It doesn't depend on someone else, third-party website.
Okay. One of the other things as well is that if you're on Twitter or on Facebook, you've only got a very short profile, haven't you, to explain it. Whereas on your website, you've got acres of space. You can have an about page of your own, and that can be endless, can't it? It's a place to, it's a showcase. It's your showcase, isn't it?
Absolutely. Plus, of course, if you are on Facebook and you are on Twitter, chances are, especially if you're a beginner and you just get started, those places will be better indexed, search engine optimized as well. So it's good to be there as a starter. But as you grow and you grow your blog, then if you post quality content and so on and so forth, you will end up being ranked higher as well with your blog. It will take time, but you have to build on your blog.
Right. How often should you blog? I know it's a strange question to ask.
Yeah, I know. Some people will tell you once a month, once every 2 weeks, once a week, once a day. As I say, the frequency doesn't matter. Yeah, of course, the frequency matters, but it doesn't matter as much as your consistency.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of people are going to tell you, well, I have to post once a week, I have to post once a month, and so on and so forth. And then they realize, well, I don't know what to say this week. I don't know what to do. I don't know. So it's all about being consistent, having something interesting to say. If you have nothing interesting to say, posting once every day won't do anything for your brand. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So it's got to be quality content. Would you envisage using a ghostwriter?
Me, no.
Write it.
No.
No, not you personally. No, you don't need one. I've read your blog. No, I didn't mean it that way. I meant as if you're a business and you didn't have somebody on site. Is a ghostwriter an idea?
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
There's I'm not going to say no. It depends on, your goals, your budget, what you want to achieve. Some people are not good at writing, so they may want to hire someone else. It really depends on the business, on the time you have, the money you have, what you want to invest in, and so on and so forth.
Right. Okay. Understood. Now, another big problem today for all of us is spam, isn't it? The quantity of spam that goes to our website and the on Twitter and Facebook. How can we deal with it?
That's a hard question.
Well, if we give people some pointers as to things to do.
How to deal with it? You can't really prevent people from sending you spam. You can educate them on what spam is, but there's really, at the end of the day, it's up to other people to decide if they want to stop sending you spam. I know a lot of people I've educated them on the meaning of spam. A lot of them thought that spam was only limited to emails. But then I worked with a lot of independent artists because I was an independent artist at the beginning of my career. And, when they take your Facebook pages hostages and, they post content and without asking you for permission and, follow my page, like my page, blah, 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 buy my product and so on and so forth. So I had to educate people on that too. And I said, spam is any unsolicited message that you post anywhere. So I've educated a lot of people about that. But at the end of the day, it's about common sense and making a conscious effort not to spam. Okay,
good. Right. We've got 2 questions which have come in. So thank you for the question, Bruno. I'll bring the question across. And Bruno's question is, how do you define your goals for blogging? What should be your aim when blogging?
There's many goals that there are people. So that's but define your goals based on first what you see of maybe your competitors at the start. Right at the start, look at what your competitors are doing and how people are responding. So your goals could be as basic as I want to gain maybe 5 subscribers at the end of this month.
Yeah,
that would be something. So it really depends on the kind of audience you have, I would say.
Okay, thank you for that question. Just staying with blogs for a moment and people visiting your blog. On your blog, you just mentioned lists, email lists. How important are email lists? What's the point of having one, for starters?
Well, the main difference between a blog and a newsletter or email list is that a blog is about talking to readers in general, and having a newsletter is like speaking to friends, to people really, really interested in your offer, and they want a kind of a more specific message addressed to them. So I would say that an email list is something that you should do beside having a blog. It's very important. A lot of people use their newsletters as a way to basically share their blog posts. That's one way of doing it. Right. But what I would recommend doing for a mail list is really personalize your message, not just use your email list to redirect people to your blog post, but also to create a deeper relationship with those subscribers. So an email list basically allows you to have a deeper relationship with subscribers. Right.
Wonderful. Okay. Now the next question, again from Bruno, and you touched on this earlier in terms of how, when you start off looking, what you should look out for. And the question is, how do you know what your audience expect?
Well, it comes from experience. At the beginning, you can only guess. You can only say, I think my audience wants this and that based on what I've observed from my competitors and so on and so forth. But you would know in hindsight when you look at the comment sections, for example, when you look at the comments they leave on Facebook, when you look at the retweets, when you pay attention to your followers a little bit, you look at their profiles and so on and so forth. So with experience, after a few months, after a year or two, you will be able to determine a little more what their goals are, what the deep questions are. But at the beginning, you can only guess so much, especially when you're just getting started, when you have no clue what you're doing. So there's a part of guessing first. So what I did for my last blog, when I launched my last blog, I didn't just look at what my competitors were doing. I also try to put myself in my potential audience's shoes, trying to think like them. So, for example, looking at comment sections on competitors' blogs, I read the comments and I thought, trying to read between the lines of what they were saying. So maybe, that's this question they're asking. So I'm going to try to answer that kind of questions.
Okay. Brilliant. Excellent idea.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Bruno. Right, just to give you a breather for a moment, I'll yatter for a minute and just you can just relax, and we'll momentarily, in a couple of minutes, we'll invite people in to ask questions live on air. Bruno, we'd love to have you on board in a moment or two. Talking to Cendrine Marrouat, and we're talking about the little book, big ebook of social media, and discussing ideas that come from that. The book itself, we're touching on parts of it at the moment, but the book itself is a very expansive list of recommendations from Cendrine's experience, and is a great place for people to start, either to improve the way they're doing the social media or to get started in the first place. Right, so we'll now take our next question, and then after this we'll open up. So next question again is from Bruno. Bruno, you're a star. You're helping us out here greatly. And we're going back to the curation question. And the question is, does curation contribute to authority?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And too bad some of my curator friends are not here. They would agree with me totally. When I got started in curation, I had no idea what I was doing. But as I looked at my peers, I learned from them, and I trained myself basically. And I started being mentioned in some lists and so on and so forth. And the more I curated, the more I got mentioned in lists, and I got referred to as a go-to source by many people. And it all came from not writing anything, from curating. So basically what I was doing is just spending hours every single day at some point, filtering through the huge amount of content that was published online and just selecting what I thought was the most useful content for my audience.
Yes. Yeah.
So the more I do that, and the more I do it, the more people recognize me as a go-to resource. They like my writing. They like the way I write. They like my content. But what gets retweeted more is actually my curated content, the content I curate.
One of the things that's coming across, which you can't do in the book, is your sheer joy and enthusiasm for social media. It's a joy to see. Right, the camera. Sorry, the seat is now open. If anybody wants to call in and ask a question live of Cendrine, then please do so. And you can come on camera and ask. We're not going to push anybody. This is not the way we do it. You've got to volunteer, but we're getting through and got a good idea of the best approaches to social media, of handling complaints and promoting yourself and getting involved. If we just go over onto Facebook for a moment, we've talked about the Facebook feed. What about Facebook groups? Is that a way to get involved?
Oh, I hate Facebook groups.
Right. Okay.
I hate them.
I wondered why. Was it this okay? So you want to expand on that?
Depending on how you approach Facebook groups,
Okay.
it can be a hit or a miss for you.
Yeah.
For you, you can succeed, absolutely succeed, or you can fail. But it's like anything else on social media and offline. It depends on how you approach things. If you're just in Facebook groups to promote yourself and just to talk about me, it won't work. Just like anything else. Facebook groups can be fantastic for people. It's just my personal preference. I don't find them very convenient in terms of engagement, in terms of engagement and conversations. Facebook groups are great, but I don't find them convenient to use.
Right. Okay.
That's what I
the beauty of social media is that so many areas that we're involved in, we can't possibly have the time for them all, and you've got to sort of pick which ones are best for you, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we're both in prospect networking, and just to go with that for a moment, I started that. It's been running 7 years next week, and we've got 450 members. And I've got to say that half of them have no idea that I run the group, because I don't sell within the group at all. So that's the other thing. And the other thing, we have a rule as well, that when you join the group, you're allowed one advert ever. Yeah, so that works pretty well. So we don't get any spam. But I agree with you that some groups are overrun or run for motives, selling motives, and that's where it all goes wrong. We totally agree. We're on the same page. But I do, respect your position, and I love what you write in your blogs, and I love connecting with you on Facebook, and on Blab. Blab is changing things, isn't it? It's changing the way we actually connect, because you're in far away Canada, and I'm in wonderful Wiltshire in England, and we're connected as if we're sat next to each other. And the technology here is totally amazing. I find Blab far preferable to Periscope and Meerkat, because you actually we're talking with each other. It's not a monologue, it's not a broadcast, it's actually a discussion, and that's where Blab comes into its own. And just today, Blab, there was a list of 11 things to watch out for in 2016, and top of the list was Blab. So this is the place to be. I know you've hosted shows, and I look forward to doing co-hosting again on any social media topic, because it's been a pleasure to talk tonight, or this afternoon as it is with you. Yeah, that's the only thing we've got is the time difference. It's mid-afternoon for you, isn't it, at the moment? Yeah,
it's okay. And what is really interesting about Blab is that it actually copied features from an old live streaming app that has completely disappeared now. It's dead. But I used it a long time ago when I promoted my books, and I released a CD a long time ago too, and I used it to promote my CD. And basically Blab is copying some of the features from that old live streaming app. So live streaming has been under the radar for a very long time, but it's been around for at least 10 years. At least 10 years. So it's interesting to see now it's actually taking off when it was already there the entire time.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. It's just the way that it's now bringing people together, and it's a question of promotion, isn't it? I mean, not many people have heard of Blab at the moment, and it's all word of mouth, and there's no overt promotion. Hopefully that will come later this year. What I love though, is that they're so helpful. If we had any problems at all, we could have typed "add help" in the box there, and somebody would have appeared. Right. Okay. Now I've got it for the first time so far. I've got to go through my crib sheet to make sure we've not forgotten anything. Are there any things that you would like to discuss? Because I've been leading so far.
You're doing a great job.
Let's go to one topic which is of interest, and that's learning from other people. And the person you mentioned in the book is Seth Godin. Yes.
Oh my goodness, Seth. Well, who doesn't know him, right? Especially in our circles. Is such a. I love his style of writing, and when the way he writes is exactly the way he speaks. If you listen to him in interviews, he speaks in the same way. And I've learned a lot from him. But I've also learned a lot from other people. I learned from everyone. And I'm a teacher, actually a French teacher. That's how I started my career, a translator as a French teacher. And it is said that the best teachers are the one that learn from others as much as others learn from them. So not to say that I'm the best, that's not what I'm saying, but I've always tried to adjust my teaching, adjust my coaching, adjust my writing to people. Because English is not my mother tongue as a starter. So I've had to adapt, to adjust myself to so many things. And you know it yourself, I live in Canada, so the culture is very different from what you would find in England or what you would find in the US. So I've had to adapt my entire life to different cultures, to different people. And that's what makes life so great, because if we stop learning, we stop growing, and there's no way. Like, human beings cannot live that way. So Seth Godin is a person I learned a lot from, but there are so many people I've learned from. And you were talking about your Facebook groups. Your Facebook group is actually one of the few Facebook groups that I actually enjoy visiting quite often. I don't always participate, but I always read what people say, the comments, and so on and so forth. And I always learn a lot from people. So I think that's an important thing that human beings need to continue doing, continue learning, and never stop wanting to learn.
Indeed, just two points there. One, my partner Angelica is a German translator and tutor, so it's a small world, and she's watching us, and she's in her own office down there. And the second thing is, allied to what you just said about learning something new. We started a Google spreadsheet earlier this year with one line for each day, and we enter into there something new that we've learned that day. And it is learning. I mean, social media is learning. It's changing so much, isn't it? And I want to come back now to a change which you mentioned earlier, which I think we're in agreement on, and that's the change that Twitter proposed. 140 characters, and now they're suggesting 10,000.
Yeah.
Well, that covers it. Yep, covers it. But
well, it's that. You know what I used to say to people all the time? I used to say Twitter is about working on your elevator pitch with every tweet.
Yes.
That's how I used to basically sum things up. And you know, with them going to 10,000 characters is such a huge mistake. I do understand them wanting to increase that limit to maybe 180, 200, 240 characters, but 10,000 characters is just being like Facebook. It reeks of desperation of trying to copy Facebook, because so many companies want to be like Facebook. I was on Quora the other day reading the questions, and someone's asked this question, how can I build a social network as big as Facebook? And that question really bothers me, because it's not about the numbers. You know, we're also focused on, you know, I need 10,000 likes, I need this, I need that. We're too focused on the numbers that we don't see the big pictures. The big picture. We forget that. So yeah, it would be such a huge mistake, 10,000 characters. Oh my goodness! But what can we do, right?
True. We have little choice. But I would hope that they would keep the 140 characters as a headline, and then there's a little dot you can click to see the other 9,860. Because otherwise, it's like reading a newspaper, isn't it? In newspaper articles, and it would lose its. The attraction is that they've taught us. They've spent 7 years teaching us how to fit stuff into 140 characters, and we've managed to get text, we managed to get photos, we managed to get links to other pages. We can fit a story into 140 characters. Why do we need to go the same way as, same medium?
Yep.
Yeah, it just beggars belief, really, sometimes, doesn't it? And the other thing that I dislike, I know you just mentioned you don't like numbers, and I can appreciate that, because it's not about numbers, it's about people. The other thing that Twitter have done is that they have removed the count from your blog, and you can no longer see how many times your blog has been retweeted. Now, you mentioned tools earlier that you can use to replace that, but I think that Twitter removing that number is a backward step, because you can't tell whether a blog's popular, can you?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, does it really matter if a blog is popular? That's the big question. Does it matter? I know that human beings like those numbers, and I need 10,000, tweets and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, does it really matter? Is popularity the big issue here, or the lack of common sense from some people? For me, is a lot of the articles I read comes from small blogs, and I read them because they've kept that smallness, if I can put it that way. They kept that very local, for lack of a better word, local feel, because they care. They care about their readers. Mm-hmm. The big blogs of today, they were small one day. They grew. Okay. And now you can tell they grew because they change. The bloggers change overnight. It's not the same language. It's not the same way to write. It's so different. It becomes so different that at the end of the day, everyone reposts them. The same kind of information is shared. So what's the point?
Great perspective. Yeah. Right. Okay. And observations come in from Sir John, and he says you can use Twitter analytics, which is a good point. And secondly, popularity doesn't matter. Well, yeah. I think we talked about broadcasting earlier. That it's a mistake, isn't it? You've got to get involved.
There are two sides to this story. I'm on the side of, I don't care about popularity. That's my thing. And all my clients, I tell them, if you choose to be on the popular side, that's up to you. I'm going to work with you to make you popular. We're going to do what we can to be popular. And if you have to tweak your titles, and we'll do that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it bothers me. It bothers me because I want a small business owner to be considered great based on their skills and on their abilities to deliver what they promise their audience. For me, that's the most important thing of all. If you cannot deliver your promise and you change by sharing memes and silly headlines just to get popular, then do something else. Become an actor, work with Hollywood, and so on and so forth. But for the rest, for me, it bothers me. That's my opinion.
And no, I mean, it's made up of opinions. There's no such thing as wrong. It's just varying. As you mentioned in your book, there's varying shades of grey. Just thought I'd get the title in, not the content, obviously. Right. Okay. Well, amazing that we've been talking for nearly 50 minutes. It seems like it's just flown. It's an absolute pleasure. Again, if there are any questions that people would like to ask, I have a feeling that you might see Cendrine and myself on screen again in the next couple of months together, co-hosting, which I really look forward to. And we'll obviously be able to take questions then as well. Now, what I'm going to do, in actual fact, because we've run through a whole range of things, and I heartily recommend your book that people go out and buy it. And we'll put a link in later, unless you want to paste one in now whilst I'm blabbing. I'm just blabbing, not for Britain this time, but blabbing for Cendrine, who's been a wonderful guest today. In fact, as you can see, he's co-host. And just if you're running your own blabs, if you make two people host, it's always a good idea, because if then one of you disappears, the blab will continue, and it's the show going on, which is the main thing. I'm going to say, Cendrine, don't go anywhere, but I'm going to say thank you very much. And if you'd like to thank our audience.
Yes, well, first of all, thank you very much. Thank you to you for inviting me. It was a fantastic chat. Great questions. I really enjoy it. You made me feel comfortable, very, very comfortable. So that's great. So thank you very much. And to Bruno and others, thank you very much for joining us too. Thank you for your questions. Bruno is always has great questions. He's French like me. So perspective. He always has such great questions. Like, it blows my mind. He's very, very curious. So it's a great thing. It's a great thing. It made the interview even better.
It did. Oh, it did. I'd like to thank Bruno too. It's been a pleasure to chat, and we've enjoyed your company.
Thank you.
We've both agreed we will be back. I'm going to switch off the recording now.